Last Sunday, we studied the first few verses of the 4th chapter, where this philosophy of yoga, intense practical spirituality, was expounded by Krishna. He said, two very ancient royal sages, Rajarshayo Viduhu. It has come in a succession of teacher and student, but through long course of time, this yoga became diluted and lost. So I am conveying the same to you, Arjuna. You are my devotee and friend. That is what we studied last Sunday. In that context, I refer to the importance of this phrase, this particular word, Rajarshi, a man who handles political, social, economic, and other power. And yet, he uses this power for the good of the people. So he combines power on the one side and spiritual growth on the other. The concept is spiritual growth, not religion. We can have any amount of religion, as usually understood. Some ceremony, ritual, creed, dogma. That doesn't give us that capacity to handle power for the good of the people. But a little spiritual growth makes all the change. Adhyatmika vikasa. In Sanskrit or Hindi we say expansion. The concept of I becomes expanded to include you, include all others. That is spiritual growth, out of which will come the spirit of human concern, the spirit of service, the spirit of dedication. That's the wonderful word. Spiritual growth in English, Adhyatmika Vikasa in our language, and here the word Rishi is used to indicate that spiritual growth. When we hear the word Rishi or a sage, we think of Vishwamitra, Vasishtha, some big sages. But why? Anybody can be a sage. 5%, 10%, 20% spiritual growth everybody can have. We are on the road of developing into a full-fledged stage when we start growing spiritually, that this tiny ego caught up in the meshes of this genetic system can detach itself from this system and expand in love and concern. That is what makes for spiritual growth. That is what is called psychosocial evolution in modern biology. Your psyche is able to detach from the genetic limitation and expand in sympathy, love and concern. That is an important development of man. The whole world is waiting to get the message of that development. Religions we have plenty, but spiritual growth we have so little. Therefore religions have become, as Vivekananda said, lifeless mockeries. There is no character. Spiritual growth is what makes for character. So when you are on that road, even if you advance only a few steps, that's a great gain. So in India we have to learn this one great lesson, that in the field of spiritual growth, it is not all or nothing. Even a little is important. Our whole thinking is otherwise. If I can't become a Vasishtha, I shall become a very wretched worldly fellow. That is our attitude. Why not take the next step? Go one step further. Have love and concern. Do work in a spirit of service. When you do so, you are already on the road of spiritual growth. It is such spiritually grown people that must handle power, political power, administrative power, money power. When they do so, they do it for the good of all. Society becomes happy, human development takes place, there is peace and harmony. So this concept of Rajarshi is very important, one who combines power along with spiritual growth. One is external, the other is internal. This we discussed last Sunday. And in that context, I refer to the Chinese thinkers also referring to the same development, Rajarshi concept in Chinese thought. There it is expressed in English translation as sagely within and kingly without. Outwardly you are a king, inwardly you are a sage. That's a wonderful expression, exact translation of this word Rajarshi. So this is the transformation that the world needs. And Krishna is expounding this yoga in order to make people handling authority and power grow spiritually even a little, by which strength they will be able to work for the welfare of humanity. If there is corruption, if there is social malpractice, it all comes from want of that spiritual growth, even a little of that spiritual growth. There is no other remedy, no legislation, no acts of parliament can make man grow spiritually. It comes only from your own effort. This kind of growth in the spiritual dimension, beyond the genetic dimension, makes you big inwardly, to be able to embrace others. The word Mahatma means that in Sanskrit. Great soul, Mahatma, Gandhi, great soul. Why? His soul was not a prisoner of this tiny organic system. It had detached itself from it and expanded in love and human concern. So we called him Mahatma. That every child be put on the road of being a Mahatma. Little bit, so that by the time you reach the age of retirement, you have achieved a good deal of development spiritual. That is real scientific religion. Making for spiritual growth, development, fulfillment, carrying the world also with you by your association and your service. It is that concept Krishna is referring to in the first two verses, and the teaching of the second and third chapters of the Gita are meant, teachings are meant for putting all humanity on the road of spiritual growth, so that whatever power you handle in any field of life, you will handle it for the good of all, for the good of the people around you. Even a father handling power for the good of the children. This kind of spiritual growth is the birthright of every human being, says Vedanta. Spirituality is the birthright of every human being. This must be understood. Intense practicality of this philosophy. Practical Vedanta, as Vivekananda said. So when he said this, Krishna said this, I taught it to ancient royal sages. Through a succession of royal sages, this philosophy has come. A philosophy of action. But action with a highly spiritual motivation for the good of all. That is the central philosophy of the Gita. It is not an ascetic philosophy. It is not a world-rejecting philosophy. It is life and action. But life and action motivated by humanistic considerations, intense compassion and love. That is the philosophy that you are going to get throughout this great book, the Gita. Here he introduced it by saying that these two chapters I devoted to expounding the central theme of this yoga philosophy. The rest of the chapters will add more and more strength to this philosophy. Bhakti will come in, a tremendous contribution to this philosophy in the succeeding chapters. It becomes richer, just like the Ganga, starting from Gangotri, so many other rivers come and join it, until you find Yamuna joining in Allahabad. It becomes richer and richer. That is how Krishna develops this philosophy. The first two chapters have given the main ingredients of this profound philosophy of practical Vedanta. This statement of Krishna raised a question from Arjuna. And we are dealing with that question now. Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna says, Aparam bhavato janma, param janma vivasvataha, kathametat vijaniyam, tamadau proktavaniti. Your birth is recent. Aparam bhavato janma. Arjuna and Krishna are of the same age. Arjuna knows it. So he is telling, Aparam bhavato janma. Your janma or birth is recent. Later, param janma vivasvataha. Vivaswan, Manu, Ikshvaku. They were born long, long ago. How can this poor eye understand that you taught it to them? It's a very beautiful question. Any one of us will put that question. Kathametat vijaniyam tumadav proktavaniti. That you taught it in very ancient times, adav, the very beginning of this process of creation. You taught it to such powerful people. How can I understand this? When this question is put by Arjuna, Krishna gives the answer. And in this answer, you have that wonderful teaching of the Sanatana Dharma of divine incarnation. I come again and again. That is a philosophy found only in the Sanatana Dharma and also in Christianity. Only difference is in Christianity it comes only once, no second time, except to wind up this whole show. But here he says, Yuge Yuge Sambhavami. I come again and again whenever there is a need. That is the famous teaching in the Gita and all the Puranas, concept of divine incarnation. So he says, the Bhagavan Uvacha, Bhagavan's own reply, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacharjuna tanyaham veda sarvani natvam veda parantapa. Many are the births that you and I have undergone. Bahuni me vyatitani, have gone through. Bahuni, many, you and I. But tanyaham veda sarvani, I know all of them. Natvam veda parantapa. You do not understand that. You are a jiva. You know only this present birth. But I know, you and I have lived several times before. I know all of them. That is the first statement. Then, how did Krishna come again and again? What is the purpose? That is said. The next verse, Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san prakatim swam adhisthaya sambhavami atmamayaya. Even though I am aja, jiv means to be born. Aja means no birth. I am birthless. From the word jiv in Sanskrit comes genetic in modern English. Root is the same. Even though I am aja and avyaya, imperishable am I, even then, bhutanam ishwaropisan, so I am the Lord of all the creatures, yet I assume a body. How? By taking recourse to my own power of Maya. This Prakriti, this Maya, I utilize to assume a simple human form. I am the infinite divine. I become a finite human individual, a small individual, inside which is something tremendous, which your eyes, my eyes cannot discover. But that's the nature of an incarnation. Outwardly very ordinary, inwardly some tremendous dimension, which you and I cannot easily see, that he will say later on. Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san pragritim swam adhisthaya sambhavami. My prakriti, my divine nature, I take recourse to, and through Maya, I am born again. This prakriti itself is Maya. That power is there in the hands of the divine. How could one become the many? It is through Maya. That wonderful one has become the many. So Maya plays a great part in all aspects of religion in India, whether it is bhakti or jnana. In the Gita you get later on wonderful statement by Krishna that this Maya is difficult to overcome. Those who take recourse to me, they overcome this Maya. A magician does magic, and you are carried away by that magic. You think it is all true. Not at all. Look at the magician. Then you will understand the magic. If you are caught up in the magic, you will be completely in illusion. So go back from Maya to the master of Maya, Mayavi. This is understood through a statement in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Mayam tu prakritim vidhi, mayinam tu maheshwaram. Know Maya to be this prakriti. The whole of nature is called Maya. And that supreme divine is the master of this Maya. The difference between God and all of us is we are subject to Maya. But all Maya is subject to him. He is free. We are not free. We are the same divine, but we are subject to this Maya. Therefore we are finite human individuals. But our true nature is that infinite one, as Vedanta will say again and again. Ramakrishna puts it in a simple Bengali saying, Panja bhute pade brahma pode krande. Brahman weeps when he is caught up in this network of five elements. Your body and mind made of five elements. Earth, water, fire, etc. Those five elements. Panchabhuta. In that net, Brahman is caught. Then Brahman behaves like a bird, like an insect, like a man, etc., etc. Panchabhute phade. Phade means like a net. Brahma pode kande. Brahman is weeping in you and me. That's the language. So, Ramakrishna said, and he says, God enchained is man. Man unchained is God. Whenever this Maya goes away, we know our true nature. But so long as Maya is there, we weep, forgetting our own true nature. So this is the difference between all of us and the divine. He himself has become this universe. He entered into each one of these things. That's the language of the Upanishads. He entered into it. Sa anupravishya. He entered into this world. And from there he is functioning. He has forgotten his true form. This is a wonderful teaching, concept of Maya. It is actually we experience every day in our life. We think we are free, but suddenly something makes us feel we have no freedom at all. That is Maya. So Maya is a constant presence, as Vivekananda said in his famous Maya lectures in England. Maya is a simple statement of fact, what we see around us and what we are. It's not a theory, it is a fact of experience. That's called Maya. So this Maya is under the control of the divine. So he takes that Maya and uses it to become a tiny human child. And you have seen in the Mahabharata TV how Krishna was born there, a tiny little child. But inside him is the infinite itself. The infinite is not spatially limited. It can be the smallest, can be the biggest. The word small and big has no meaning. So far as the infinite is concerned, Anor Aniyan, Mahato Mahiyan, smaller than an atom, bigger than the universe. That is the Atman, says the Upanishad. And so, Krishna says, Prakritim Swam Adhisthaya Sambhavami. I am born by taking recourse to my Prakriti, What is that? Atma Mayaya, my own Maya, my own power. Let me become an ordinary human being. Let me function there. Some great good has to be done for humanity. Lord alone can do this work. So, when God incarnates, a new energy appears in the world, a world transforming energy. In fact, the word avatara, the word incarnation, how do we give a status to this particular individual? Ordinary individuals are subject to all the limitations of life, and avatara also is subject to bodily limitations. He has hunger, he has thirst, he has everything. But he is also infinite within, and he knows it. And that slowly works to uplift humanity. A tremendous energy flows out of him, a world transforming energy. When you see such energy in any person, remember the divine is manifested there. It's only in course of time we realize that manifestation is there. Time is a great factor. Ordinary greatness cannot stand the test of time. Today you hear so many people are great. Even a road is named after somebody. After 2 generations, nobody knows who it was. Nobody will know. That's called ordinary greatness. As against it, there is one type of greatness which goes on expanding after death, after the body has gone away, year after year, century after century. Such people be characterized as divine incarnations who defeat the flow of time itself or make time flow in the reverse direction. When he was alive, very people knew him. After his death, many people begin to know him. Many people begin to honor him, worship him. Even after 2000 years, we still continue. What does it show? Some enormous power was manifested there. It is not ordinary human power. That greatness we have seen. This is something unique. Therefore, India calls it a divine incarnation manifestation. Avatara is the language used there. So Krishna is expounding it for the first time in our philosophical spiritual tradition. Sambhavami Atma Maya, my own Maya, I take recourse to and born as a divine incarnation. Krishna's birth was extraordinary. All divine birth is extraordinary. The birth of Jesus was extraordinary. So also Rama. Every one of these, Vivekananda calls them world-moving forces. An ordinary saint cannot make the world move. A few people can benefit. But when an incarnation comes, he makes the world move. And he can produce many saints by his own spiritual energy. In the name of Buddha, how many saints came? In the name of Krishna, how many saints came? Through Jesus, how many saints have come? This is a special quality of an incarnation. To all such people, we gave divine status. They are not ordinary. They are divine. So they worship them. And the whole religion is centered in the worship of a divine incarnation. The most intense spirituality comes through worship of a divine incarnation. Find out in your history, you will find wherever there is a devotion to a divine incarnation, high character, tremendous energy, all these qualities will flow from that kind of a devotion. So we have that kind of devotion in India, centered in Rama and Krishna. We have got the whole of Hindu religion, we can say, is centered in Rama and Krishna. Devotion to 2 powerful divine incarnations in our history. Centered in Jesus, in the Western world you will find tremendous devotion and high character, high compassion coming out of that devotion to a divine incarnation. So he said, I, body forth, through control of my Maya power. Though the infinite I am imperishable, I became a finite human being, a tiny child. And that story is so beautifully put in the Srimad Bhagavatam, dealing with Krishna's birth. If you read the 10th book of the Bhagavatam, the first few chapters, you will find a tiny child is born in the prison of Kamsa. And there, father and mother salute the child. is a divine child with a glow around him. He said, you are not an ordinary human child. You know you are the divine person. You have come in this world in this form. In that way, mother and father, Devaki and Vasudeva, praising Krishna in one of the most beautiful hymns in the Srimad Bhagavatam there. And then the incarnation's purpose must go on. The father and mother understand that this is an incarnation and not a human being. They will not be able to do service to him, and he won't be able to do his own life's mission. So Bhagavata says, after the hymn of praise was over, Krishna through his Maya withdrew his divine form and became an ordinary child and started crying like any ordinary child. Babhu, it says, Pragrata Shishuhu, a Pragrata Shishu, the child became. And mother and father forgot that divine dimension. Then only they could look after the child. Otherwise the child must look after them if he is God all the time. So to make the mother and father look after him, he just withdrew that divine form which was given for a few seconds. Babhuva Pragrata Shishuhu. That's how the Bhagavata begins. After that only you come across what you call Krishna Leela, Leela of Krishna, which has enthralled India for ages. Today outside also people are enthralled by the Leela of Krishna as a boy, as a grown-up person, as a teacher. Gita itself is one such Leela, teaching Arjuna and teaching all of us a profound philosophy, something permanent for all people, very rational, very universal, very practical. So that is the meaning of this word, avatara, incarnation, avatarana, descent of the divine, as they call it. From the infinite, he becomes the finite. Looks like finite. Actually, he is not finite. Now, this kind of understanding of a divine incarnation you find in modern writers on Sri Ramakrishna. I like one sentence from Ramakrishna, his life of Ramakrishna, where he presents Ramakrishna and Vivekananda as the splendid symphony of the universal soul, Ramakrishna, Vivekananda. Physically limited. He had a Bengali body, a masculine body, limited in every sense you can say. But inside that body, some power was working. What is the nature of that power? Brahma Roland gives you an insight. He says, this Ramakrishna was born as a priest without any external trappings. He never took part in the tremendous movements that were going on around him. Far away from the currents and cross-currents of the contemporary world was Ramakrishna living there. That is his external life, very ordinary. But the next sentence says, but his inner life embraced the whole multiplicity of men and gods. See the language. Inside, he is in touch with every one of us, the whole world around. That is his immense dimension. Outwardly, very ordinary person, a priest of Kali, as they call it. This extraordinary dimension can be revealed only to a few people in the beginning. They can understand. Narendra could understand. Vivekananda and a few others could understand. Just like in Jesus, one or two could understand. Because Krishna also the same. Yashoda could understand sometimes. Sometimes she will forget also. In that way you will find Bhagavatam there. So, the inner dimension, its immense sweep, becomes understood as centuries roll on. And today without difficulty we can see the greatness of Krishna. But when he was alive, how many people understood his greatness? They accused him for stealing that garland called Syamantaka. And he had to justify himself. Just imagine, so he is a divine incarnation. So many others also accused him, like Shishupala also accused him. So he passed through all this. So like any human being, an incarnation also has to pass through the ups and downs of life. But that doesn't detract from the tremendous energy resources within, which are divine. Those energies begin to flow slowly, slowly, slowly. And the whole thing is silent and quiet. No noise, no show. Krishna spoke in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Only Arjuna was there. And Sandhya also was there as a reporter. That's all. But today millions of people are listening to what Krishna said in that Kurukshetra battlefield. Similarly, Buddha spoke to 5 people at Sarnath in Varanasi. Only 5 people, 2,500 years ago. Within 500 years, what he uttered then had spread throughout Asia, changing human life, changing civilization, etc. Jesus spoke to 11 disciples, and that voice reached millions of people in the next 1,000 years. So here you can see that this particular individual is not a mere ordinary individual. There is something extraordinary. But we can't understand him unless we have a spiritual development in ourselves. We cannot understand the greatness of an incarnation. We will say that later on, that many people do not know my true dimension. Those who are spiritually sensitive, they will be able to understand the dimension of a divine incarnation. So he said, when does God come as an incarnation? I come to the world, he said, but when? What is the situation that calls forth this divine intervention in this world? After all, there is no intervention. The world also is divine. He himself is present in all of us. And so, it is not actually an external intervention. Intervention within the whole ambit of reality. So he says, Yada yada dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthana dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Whenever there is a decline of dharma, an increase of adharma, then I body forth myself in order to retrieve the situation. This is a famous verse quoted thousands of times by our teachers. Yada yada dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Whenever there is dharma glani, decline of dharma, and abhyuthanam adhammasya, increase of adharma, tadatmanam srijamyaham. I body forth myself into this world as a divine incarnation. The purpose is paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. In order to protect what is dharma, what is virtue, what is good and pure, in order to destroy what is evil and what is wicked, I come not once, again and again. Whenever there is a need, I come for that purpose. The maintenance of the world is an important objective of the divine. When we studied in the beginning Shankaracharya's introduction to his Gita commentary, where he refers to this situation, that the social fabric is getting broken up. There is no cement to unite myself with you. Therefore, there is disruption in society. There is violence, there is crime, all these things. At that time, we have to retrieve the situation. No scholars can do it. No bishop or priest can do it. Only a divine power can do it. No parliament can do it. Moral and spiritual change in a human situation can come only from highly spiritual personalities, not through any other means. Therefore he said, Sambhavami, yuge yuge. Whenever such a situation comes, I body forth myself. India having a 5,000-year history, situations have come again and again. Short historical periods, you may not see many incarnations. You have long historical periods, you have many such examples of a divine manifestation, and life becomes fresh once again. Moral values come, humanistic values come. This continues for some time. Again there is a decline. Again there is this thing. This is the nature of this divine manifestation. The highest divine power, when it operates in the world, it becomes diluted little by little. Then what was high moral value becomes low in moral status in course of time, because we dilute it. So after some time, we need a new inspiration. That's why I come again and again. Sambhavami yuge yuge. Every time I come, and the purpose is paritranaya sadhunam, a good people. Sadhu is the word for good, pure people. They are always in difficulty when there is too much of wickedness and evil in society. Even now you can see in office, if there is one or two of honest officers, they are in trouble. All the others will try to pull them down and bring even false cases against them. You can see actually happening in our society. So that a straightforward, honest person finds it difficult, because the ratio of forces are against him. So he finds it difficult. So after some struggle, he may also all right say, I will also be one with you. That's going down, sliding down as you call it. Take 1947. What beautiful atmosphere we had. But after that, every year, we were sliding down. That's what has happened till now. Now when you study Vivekananda literature, you find a new energy coming. Let us go upwards. Let us go upwards. Let us have the spirit of service, not exploitation. That kind of change will come. Today, that tremendous power that manifested through Ramakrishna and Vivekananda, and that wonderful divine woman personality, the Holy Mother, that energy will make for the revival of the moral awareness, humanistic awareness, high character. That is the purpose. It takes time. Slowly, after Buddha's death, it took nearly 400 years to make Buddha's message current coin in society. About 300 years it took in the beginning, during Ashoka's time. And Vivekananda says, the greatest period of Indian history was then when Buddha's message became widespread in society. The spirit of compassion, purity, spirit of service, including service to animals, hospitals for animals, all these dotted all over India at that time. That was the highest period. But after some another 500 years, slowly it disappeared. By 7th century, 8th century AD, the essential energy of that message had become diluted. When Hu Sang, Chinese pilgrim, visited India in the 7th century AD, he saw Buddhism in decline. Already the power is going away. It was at that time, from the spiritual point of view, philosophical point of view, Shankaracharya rose, a personality of immense power, infinite purity and compassion. That person arose and did the work at the philosophical level, at the mental level of the people. It is only now we are conveying the message of Buddha and the message of Shankaracharya to the common people, to lift up the whole people, the whole nation. That's the work that is now set in motion through the divine manifestation in our own time. That's why Vivekananda, what you call, breathed out. The correct word is breathed out. A beautiful hymn in praise of Sri Ramakrishna, one of the days when he was installing his picture in a devotee's house. They said, Thapakaya dharmasya, sarva dharma swarupine, avatara varisthaya, Ramakrishnaya te namaha. Salutations to thee, Sri Ramakrishna, who came to establish dharma, Thapakaya dharmasya, the same promise of Krishna. Sarva dharma swarupine, not to establish any particular sect or a particular religion bearing a special label, not at all. Embodiment of every religion. Sarva dharma swarupine, avatara varisthaya, the supreme divine manifestation. To him be our salutation. You will find therefore that this is happening again and again in the Indian context. In other contexts, only once in Christianity, Even that, people didn't accept him. He had to be crucified. It is not enough. God comes into the world. People must be prepared to accept him. India has a philosophy and a culture which can appreciate a divine manifestation and welcome him. That's why we don't crucify our great teachers. Never. It can never happen here. We always try to understand him, a few people, then more people. In this way, the avatara begins to function for the good of society, and this time, not of a national society, but international community itself. That is a great work that is going on now, silently and quietly. This was initiated by Krishna a few thousand years ago, maybe 3,000, maybe 4,000. That is the wonderful teaching that you are now studying in this 4th chapter. We shall take up the subject later on. Today we have 2 distinguished guests with us, and it's not every time that we take a few words to all of you. There are 2. Mrs. Mary Louise Burke comes from San Francisco. She is a great author and produced 6 big volumes on Vivekananda in America, new discoveries by research, here, there, everywhere. Those are the volumes you will find there. A wonderful set of books. That is Mrs. Mary Louise Burke. The other is Anne Myron. She is a very close devotee and friend of Vedanta of San Francisco. But she has got a special field of work, a Vivekananda Foundation, which tries to donate Vivekananda's books to American libraries, here, there, everywhere, so that this profound message can spread in that great country. So these 2 people have come from Belur Math to spend 2-3 days here. They have to go away tomorrow. So I requested them speak a few minutes to the audience here. It will be a great experience. And so we shall have this, and after the lecture is over, we shall have 1 or 2 announcements and silence and quiet and meditation, and then we disperse.
Wonderful to be in India. I've been many times before, and I never lose the sense of thrill and wonder at this marvelous holy country. And as you know, Swamiji has told me, I come from America, and I must say I'm also proud of America, and I feel blessed to be an American for one reason, and that is that Swami Vivekananda, who was, I think, he's accepted as a divine incarnation, one of the great ones, comparable to Sri Ramakrishna, gave his greatest years there. The tremendous energy he poured forth in that country must have been, we feel, those of us who know him and who have studied Vedanta, it must have been for some reason. As Maharaj has said, a divine incarnation comes for the upliftment of the world, and his power has got to work. Takes a long time, but it's got to do that. And I think America desperately needs that spiritual power. But Swamiji came to bring America's virtues, if you can call them that, to India, to help India. He came to ask America to give its technological know-how to India. But this was not by no means a one-way street. America needs India much more than India needs America. And those of us who have come from the West and go back to the West can understand what India has to offer, I think, even more than Indians. You are like people surrounded by this great atmosphere. How can you know it's here? But we can feel the immense difference. There's a sense here of all-pervasive sweetness, which I feel even in this delightfully insane traffic of your cities, and even on the Howrah Bridge, which is a horror to me. You feel this sweetness, this all-pervasive sense of spirituality. And when we go home, we feel the intense lack of it. So India has this greatness that has developed for thousands and thousands of years. And you wonder if America can ever get there. Well, Swamiji said, when he was speaking in San Francisco of can Vedanta ever be the future religion, he said, because you are a democracy and understand democracy, every man here is a king, every man is equal, you have a chance of understanding Vedanta and becoming Vedanta. So we have that chance, and Americans have wonderful qualities. That sense of equality and the sense of self-confidence, which is very strong, sense of self-reliance, all these things that Vedanta requires, Vedanta develops, America has already. But the trouble is that without a spiritual foundation, these things degenerate and twist out of all recognition, really. They become something else. So that is why America needs Swamiji, needs Vedanta, needs India. And I think that given time and given Swamiji's power, we are going to get it. And out of this combination of India's magnificent virtue and America's materialistic know-how and activity is going to come a greatness of personality, a great people. As Swamiji said, and I have it written down here somewhere, you all know this quotation. He said, by combining some of the active and heroic elements of the West with the calm virtues of the Hindus, there will come a type of man far superior to any that have ever been in the world. So let us hope that day of the great giants will not be far off. Thank you very much.
I feel I'm a strong friend because, for one thing, I'm a new person to India. And since I've come here, I have met with such wonderful cordiality, friendship, help. It's really difficult to express. Many times when I have been somewhat uncertain or a little bit confused, not knowing exactly what I was going to do next, somebody has walked up and simply made it very clear to me which way to go or what to do. So I feel I can call you friend. I also would like to make another comment along the personal line. As I say, this is my first trip to India. And I must say that the sense that one has of the raising of one's consciousness is simply profound. To come to India is to have a new spiritual experience. And I offer my salutations to Mother India from the bottom of my heart. Now, the other matter at hand that Swamiji asked me to talk about was this organization called the Vivekananda Foundation. Several years ago, several of us got together and wondered if we might not do something which would be aimed we're Orthodox and active in Orthodox societies in the Bay Area. But we wanted to have an organization that would do that. So we organized the Vivekananda Foundation, and we've taken up a series of projects. We're very small. There are 9 of us on the board of directors, and we do not have a membership, so we just do the work ourselves. And also we do get volunteers who have helped us very generously with their time and various capacities. We have done just a few things that I can mention. The first project we took up was the distribution of Marty's books, Mary Louise Bird's books, to the libraries in the United States. We made an offer to provide them with a 6-volume set. And we got, I think, quite a good response, particularly from the major libraries, such libraries as Harvard and Yale and some of the University of California branches and so forth. So we were pleased with that. The second project we took up was to make some audio cassettes of Swamiji's lectures. And this was all quite new to us. None of us were in this line of work until we experimented. We found a professional reader, and we had artists in our own group and a photographer, and so we were able to design a very attractive package and make a good tape, a tape that sounds good. And we've begun to distribute these. We found a distributor, and we've actually, in the course of about 2 years, been able to distribute about 2,000 of these cassettes through various commercial outlets. Now, America is a very large country, and 2,000 cassettes aren't going very far. But if we look at it not so much from the number of cassettes, but the idea that we are actually reaching people who probably would not come into contact with Vedanta society. And we just finished our second set. Each set has 5 lectures in it, and we are gearing up for our third set. And then one other project, well, we've had one project in India, and that was to distribute textbooks and college texts to some universities and colleges which responded to our letter of inquiry. And then I think that when I go back and we have a chance to get ourselves organized a little more, I think what we would like to do is try to put out some kind of a inexpensive paperback edition that would be mass marketed of Swamiji's, some Swamiji's lectures. The problem seems to be that Swamiji just isn't known in America, and we have to find some way of simply putting that message out there where he will be seen, his message will be seen, where people who go into all kinds of stores. Books are sold in every kind of store in America, drugstores, department stores, bookstores, grocery stores, where that name and those lectures will come into the hands of Americans. And that's what the Vivekananda Foundation is dedicated to, and that's what we work on. Thank you very much.
Virtue with the language. Guna adhikaihi. When they accept it and they live it, this dharma will spread in society like a little leavening the whole bread, in the language of Jesus. At that time I had occasion to refer to this method of spreading a great message. Vivekananda and a few other disciples were there. They were extraordinary people. They spread Ramakrishna's message. Then others came. So here are 2 ladies from America. In India we have a few such. They become the instrument for spreading the message to all people that gunadhikairihi grihitaha anutthiyamanascha dharma prajayangamishiti. Dharma becomes spread when it is accepted and implemented by men and women of more than ordinary virtue. That is the language. So in India also I have seen people doing that work. Here we have in America 2 distinguished people becoming instruments of Sri Ramakrishna, Swamiji and the Holy Mother to spread this message not only in America but also in other parts of the world. That is the greatest thing we can do And in this book, Gita, the 18th chapter, just at the end, you will hear that slogan, Najatasman Manusheshu Kaschin me Priyakartamaha Bhavita Najame Tasmad Anya Priyataro Bhavi. Nobody is dearer to me than those few who accept my teaching and spread it among the people. That is the language you will get in the 18th chapter later on. That is being blessed in the true sense of the term. We are very happy to have them with us. On behalf of all of you, I convey our grateful thanks to and as well as Gargi. Next Sunday, I shall not be here. I have to go to Trichure in Kerala for a spiritual retreat which I have been attending for the last 25 years. We are also not very well, but still I am going for just 5 days. So on 25th Sunday, Swami Ananyananda